Hello, my name is Jeffrey Awuku-Boateng, and today I'll be demoing how Splunk can be used for security investigations while answering some questions on Try Hack Me. But first, some background information. As I said, my name is Jeffrey Awuku-Boateng. I'm a fourth year computer science major at the University of Georgia, and I'll be graduating at the end of the year in December 2022. So I'm currently looking for entry-level cybersecurity analysts or SOC L1 or SOC L2 um jobs. So if you ever have any openings like that, please reach out to me. I'll leave contact details below. Okay, so let's get into the demo. So this is a demo I've actually worked on, or a project I've already worked on in the past. It's less of an incident and more about investigating web activity and trying to extract information from a user's web activity. So I already have Splunk open up here. So the first thing we do is usually to um, set up what kind of data we'll be looking into. And in this, we'll be looking at the index will be the bots v2. And this is the data set. I usually for projects like this on TryHack, I usually set the time to all time to get all available logs and data. We set this to all time and search just to see what kind of logs, source types, and what kind of information we have about or on this data set. So I'll let that load and let's get into the first question. So the first question is Amber Turing was hoping for Frogly to be acquired by a potential competitor, which fell through but visited their website to find contact information for their executive team. What is the website domain that she visited? Okay, so before we do anything, usually with something like this, we first need to extract information. First of, who is Amber Turing? That's the first thing we need to know. Who is she? What can we find out about her? Usually through her IP address. That's the first thing we usually need. What is her IP address? And since we are talking about what website domain she visited, we'll most likely use her IP address to get there. So with this, the first thing we do is just put into Splunk Amber Turing to see what comes up. Usually take some time to load. So whilst it's still loading, I'll usually go through the source type to see what kind of logs we have on her. So it looks like we have PAN traffic, which is basically PAN is personal area network, which is basically a small network, usually consisting of about 10 devices, very small. So most likely she would have used her laptop or computer on this network. So it's most likely that this would be the best logs to look at in order to get her IP address. So I'll put that in here. Source type is equal to this. Then we get a lot of data, about 1,000 events. And what I like to do is, so we are looking for her IP address, and she would be the source IP. Source IP means that she is sending out traffic to a destination IP. So we'll be looking for source IP. So I'll put it into that. And what I like to do is usually I like to put it in a table. It makes it way easier to look at. So we'll table source IP. And now usually we should get a lot of IPs. And what you see is most of them are repeated. So what I like to do to add to this query is DDoP src IP. And what this does is it prevents duplicates. So now that should reduce the number of IPs we get. In this case, you have only one. Sometimes you may have more than that, and depending on how many events I get, I may add some other queries to it, like stats, counts, and other stuff. So it looks like this is her IP address, and I'll write it down. I'll document and write it down somewhere. So know that this is her IP address. So we write it down, document that. And now what are we looking? I'm looking for what is the website domain she visited. So now we have her IP address. We want to know what website she visited. And when talking about websites, you're usually looking at HTTP logs. So let's see. We take this query out. Move this. And let's see the source types. Let's see what kind of logs we have. So here we can actually see everything, but there is, I think this shows just the top 10 values, but there is HTTP logs in this data set. So what we can do is, now we have an IP, so we can use an IP, which was 10.0.2.1.0.1. Source type equals to stream HTTP. Let's see. Oh, there's a typo here. Okay, the source type equals stream HTTP. You should get some events soon. There it is. So these are a lot of stuff. And what we are concerned about is what website she visited. So we can look at these fields right here called interesting fields, which gives us kind of things to use to look at the logs. And one thing we have here is site, which gives us the website she visited. So instead of just looking at them like this, again, I like to put it in the table, makes it way easier. So d-dot remove any duplicate site and then table the websites. So we have a lot of different websites you visited. And sometimes some of these questions you may have to be a little creative. So it's talking about, it says she acquired information about a potential competitor. And the background of this investigation was she works at a beer company and she was trying to leave one company to the other. So one keyword we could use to reduce these logs is probably think about if it's a beer company, it might have like beer or something in its name. So we could put in here, say beer, and add a wild card, which means it should include beer in it. So let's see what we get from this. And there it is. So this should most likely be the answer. Yep. So we put that down as well. As this is the website she visited. We note that down. We have an IP and the website she visited. Now the next thing is Amber found the executive contact information and sent him an email. Executive contact. Okay. What image file display the executive's contact information? And they say the answer example is like this. Should look something like this. Okay. So we have the website, we have her IP address, and we want to look for the executive contact information, and we'll send you an email. Okay. So something like this, we can have an IP, have still looking at HTTP logs, and use this website. Put the website in here and see what we can get. Let's see what kind of events or log events you get. Okay. So sometimes I like to just look at the interesting fields and see what kind of fields you get from these keywords, these logs, or maybe even the IP address. And what we see right here is a URI path. Now, a URI is called or is known as a universal resource identifier, which is used to distinguish one resource from another. It's kind of like the URL, as we know, which is a universal resource locator, or what people might call like a website name or a website. Now, right here, we have a URI path. And what this does is it gives us a path to certain resources. So we are looking for contact information. That she contact information and sent him an email. Contact information, it looks like it's a path. So from the root, it goes somewhere, then it's an image, I believe it's an image file. Yeah. So things like this kind of gives like a hint of what to look for and where to find it. So right here, I'm going to, as usual, ddop URL URI path and table it. And this is what we get. So we get a Fabricon.ico. What a Fabricon is usually is these images we see, kind of like the logo of websites, like Splunk. We have this little square icon here. So you have these resources and location of it. And we can see that here we have a Burke, CEO Burke. So it's most likely this, and this is the path to the resource. So from the root folder, we go to a folder called images, and in that images folder, we have this right here. This should most likely be what we are looking for. So copy that and put it in here. Yep. So now we have another piece of information that we can write down and keep. Now it says, what is the CEO's name? Provided the first and last name. So now we go back and look at what we have. We know that the website is www.burkebeer.com. Now we can start thinking about, okay, Burke. So that could be maybe a first name or a last name. Just thinking, just gathering information, just thinking, okay, so this could be a surname. We still have Amber's IP address, okay? And we know from this question that she sent an email to the executive, the CEO. So we can go and start again. See now, look at the different logs, email, see if we have like SMTP logs, which we should do. SMTP means simple mail transfer protocol, which is basically a protocol for emails or logs for emails, viewing email logs and seeing things like attached files or attachments to emails, basically. We should have it doesn't show here, but we do actually have SMTP logs in this data set. So what we do is, as usual, source type, set the source type to SMTP. There it is, SMTP. Okay, so we don't have any events for this. So what we can do is let's take out the IP address to see. Okay, so once we take out the IP address, we get some events. Okay. Let's go back and see what are we looking for. Looking for the CEO's name. We know that Amber sent her an email, so we're looking at Amber's or email logs. let's put in the keyword, say Burke. See what we get. Let's use the wildcard. Probably should add Amber as well to limit the number of logs we have, so that we're not looking at all email logs of probably people even outside the company as well, but just Amber to Burke's, the Burke company. So Amber. Okay, so now we've reduced it to about 4 events, and now we are looking for the CEO's name. We have 4 events. We can go through and see, read like the content of the emails and see what was said and stuff like that. But before that, we can think about it. If Amber sent probably the first message, that would have taken how do I say, instead of just looking at this, we can use the reverse. We can add reverse to the query to see the oldest first, since probably that will be Amber's message to the CEO will be either the first or the second message or email. So we put this keyword in there or add it to the query and see. Usually takes some time for these queries to load. Okay, so now we have this, and we are looking for the CEO's name, first and last name. Okay, so with this, sometimes I'll look to just the events like this and see. Let's see content body of this, because it looks like this is from Amber Turing to someone called Mr. Bernhard. So let's see. Okay, so this looks like the receiver's email address. We can write that down, put that down somewhere. But we want to know the CEO's first and last name. So let's go to the content body again. See if we can get anything from that. Sure. Okay, so it just says Mr. Bernhard. You don't really have a first or last name. We don't know if this is the CEO. So we can keep going, see, look at another event and see. Let's look at who sent this, who was the receiver of this. Okay, so it looks like Amber received this email and it was sent by mburke at burkebeer.com. Let's look at the content, the body of the email, to see if we can extract anything useful from there. So we have this email here. Great, speak with you directly. We also have questions. Okay, so it looks like we have a name here, Martin Burke. So it looks like it doesn't actually say that this is the CEO, I guess, but we can put this in. And for some of these try hack me projects, most of the times when you see something like this, the only full name you get usually is the right answer, if that makes sense. So we can try this, and usually that will most likely be the answer. So you can copy this, put this in here, Martin Burke. So that's the CEO's name. Sometimes it's being creative, sometimes it's you might have extra information to build upon. Okay, So this is the CEO's name. What is the CEO's email? So as I said earlier, that we write it down. So that's probably the Embark we saw. But even from the same event, you can extract that from the sender. Yep, right here. So this would be the CEO's email address. We copy that and put that in here. Yep. After the initial contact with the CEO, I'm gonna contact another employee at this competitor. What is the employee's email address? Okay, so we'll still use the same query, and look through the event to see if we see another name other than Ember. So let's see who received this email. So this was received by Amber, and who sent it? So it looks like we have someone else here, and we want the email address. So we can copy this and try this. Yep, and try this here. Yeah, and that's the correct answer. What is the name of the file attachment that Amber sent to a contact at the competitor? Okay, so once you see attachments, so we are looking at SMTP logs, and that gives us the ability to look or have these fields right here. And in that field, we have a field called attach file name. This field right here, which gives us all attachments in the email. So if this is just one, so I won't even use a table. I can just click this, and this should be the attachment. So we copy this, paste it to see, and yeah, that's the correct answer. And now the last question says, what is Amber's personal email address? Okay, so something like this, we can think through it. Personal email address. Where can we find a personal email address? Maybe there's a good chance that it looks like when she was talking to the competitor, she was using her work email address. So let's see. Not this sender was Amber Torres. So this is a company email address. So where can we find her personal? It's most likely that she probably sent it in the email. So we'll be looking at the contents body, trying to find it there, because there's a good chance that maybe whilst talking to them, instead of using her work email, she probably said, let's transition to my personal email or private email account. So there's a good chance. So just thinking about things like that. So we can look at some of the body to see, we can follow. Let's start from here, from the top, to see what is the content body of it. So this is from Amber. This is what this says. Okay. That wasn't really helpful, but let's see the next one. Content body. And we know this is from the CEO. Okay. Let's try another one, or the next one. I believe this was from the other guy from the website, the competitor's website. So okay, Amber received this. Who sent it? What was his name? Bernard at berg.com. So let's see the content of this. To content body. Hello, Amber. Talking with you today. Here's my contact information. Okay, good. So now we see something like this. Do you have a personal email I can reach you at as well? So this is what Bernard sent to Amber. So we'll be looking for the reply of this email, which should be the next one. So let's see. So the subject is Hans Bernard contact information. And when we look at the next one, so you're looking for a reply. And okay, so now we have a sender. Amber sent this next email. Okay, so that's good. It looks like it's a reply to the Hans Bernard contact information. Okay, So that's good. So it would most likely be in this email. So let's look at the content body. Okay. So for some reason, this time the content body isn't in plain text, it's in base 64. So what I like to do is copy it. I like to just copy the whole thing right up to here and go to base 64 decoder, which I've already put up here, and paste it all here and decode that. Okay, so thanks for taking the time. As discussed, here's a document of reference. Probably better to take this offline. So email me from now on Amber this email address. So it's most likely this should be her personal email address. So we'll copy this and paste it right here to see. Yeah, and that worked. So that is the 100 series. So that just demonstrates the power of Splunk and having logs, how you can extract information about a web user's activity on the web, on the internet. Sometimes it's about thinking about outside the box and gathering information, using that information to find other information. Thank you for watching. And as I said early on, I'm looking for an entry-level cybersecurity analyst job or SOC 1 or SOC 2 job. So if you do have an opening like this, please feel free to reach out. I'll leave my contact information below as well. Thank you.